Y'all, let's do story time. So listen, I remember recently, a couple months ago, I remember telling God, I said, God, I can't hear you. God used to guide me every day. It was almost like it became part of my normal routine, right? And I remember I was at a low point. And I remember telling God, I said, God, I can't hear you. Please help me right now because I need it. I need you to tell me what I'll do next. And God response was, you can't hear me because you're too distracted. You're too distracted. Listen, when I detached myself from people and things that was not of him, the doors started opening. See, God told me, he said, how can you socialize with people who don't even know me? How can you socialize with people who do not know me? My life was falling apart and fast. When I tell y'all that God gives favor, he gives favor. See, my biggest problem is that I'm always thinking that I can fix what I didn't break. Recently, I realized that sometimes God don't place me in people's life for them to be around long term. It could be a month, 3 months, 6 months, 2 months, a year, 2 years. See, God placed me in people's lives because I have something that they need. You know, I have something that they may need that he wants them to understand from me. And when God realized that they don't understand, he removed me. And my biggest problem is I done became so attached that I'm attached emotionally when I shouldn't be. See, sometimes we don't go to the next phase of whatever it is that we meant to have because we ain't learned how to sit with just what we went there for. Sometimes every situation don't require you to be emotionally attached. Sometimes you got to move and not be affected because you never know when the time's going to come for you to have to shift and move on. And until you learn how to accept that every situation don't hurt your feelings, you hurt your own feelings, and you understand that you was on a mission, it was never supposed to be that way anyway, you won't understand just how important it is. And because I'm so transparent, prime example, a couple months ago, I found myself in a hole I couldn't get out of. I couldn't see the light to save my life. I couldn't see the light. I couldn't see the light, and I didn't realize that the more and more I stayed in that place, the more and more things felt like they were just crumbling at my feet. Couldn't remember, and I couldn't understand why, because nothing changed with my current situation. It was always that way, and nothing never changed. It was just that I was so distracted and attached to all of the things I did not need that I was hindering myself from going through a door that was meant just for me. I started losing my finances. I started getting to a point where I was no longer comfortable. Couldn't be comfortable if I wanted to, which I always pray and ask God to keep me uncomfortable. Because when I'm uncomfortable, I know I'm making progress. And I just couldn't see the light. I was working and I was working and I was working and I was working and I was being obedient. And nothing was changing for me. Instead, it was getting worse. The more I applied myself, the worse it got. Until I stepped back and started closing them doors to allow people and certain things to not even be attached to me or have access to me. It was then when God showed me, okay, you ready now. When I tell y'all God is beyond amazing, don't never let nobody tell you what God gonna do. Because you looking at a woman in human form that'll pray sun up to sundown, because I know God gives favor. I know God gives favor. Listen, 5 years ago, I was homeless, sleeping in my car with absolutely not one thing. And God put me in that place because I didn't know how to control my tongue. God said, humble yourself. Because everything you speak on somebody else can easily become yours. And that's when I learned the value of not saying the wrong things to people when I'm upset. Just walk away and come back when you know you can talk to them with respect. Because for 8 months, God showed me something that I said or did to somebody. For 8 whole months, every day it was a lesson. And the lesson was, you remember when you said that about this person? You remember when you everything I ever said or did came back tenfold. It hit me so hard it knocked the wind out of me. 8 months I studied the Bible. 8 months I studied business. How to run business and how to do this and how to do that with certain businesses, right? And I remember one day I was so low, I asked God to give me a job. I went for a job interview. And at the time, this job was me, that I was taking was going to be me working for DHEC. So I remember I went to the interview. I had $5 in cash and $7 on Cash App. And with that amount of money, I traveled to my interview. Mind you, I'm sleeping in my car in hotel parking lots. I'm at the public library all day because I could use their Wi-Fi. And I went to the job interview, and the lady said, ma'am, I need your birth certificate and social security card. I had my social security card. I didn't have my birth certificate. So she said, you can go get it and bring it back. You know, so I left. I went to the birth certificate place to get my birth certificate. And when I got there, once again, I had $5 in cash and $7 on Cash App. I did fill out the paperwork. I got to the window. The lady said, well, ma'am, we can't take it like that. You got to have it all in cash or you got to have it all on a card. And in that moment, it crushed my soul. Mind y'all, God been leading me this whole time. So I got up and I left. I said, you know what? F this job. I ain't even gonna worry about it. I tried. I can't get it well. I called everybody in my phone for $12. Can you give me $12 on Cash App so I can get my birth certificate? You know, everybody told me they didn't have it. And in that moment, I cried. I remember getting in my car and I cried. Because I told God, I need this job. I left. I went to the gas station, bought me a pack of cigarettes, got me something to drink. That was all I had. I was so low that God needed me to get the message. Everything that I once did for money no longer worked. It worked for everybody else, but not me. Because you know why? God gave me just enough money for 8 months every day to be able to make it to the next day. He never gave me too much. He gave me just enough. And I sat in the parking lot at the gas station upset. I started talking to God. I said, God, why would you send me over here knowing that it was going to play out this way? God said, call her. I said, no, I ain't calling. I ain't doing